Welcome back to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I am Elizabeth Elliott. I'm your hostess. I'm excited to have Lynn Greene with us today. She is a friend of mine. We've known each other, golly, for a really long time. Like, actually, not super close, but I mean, our kids were little when we met. We were
20
homeschooling.
years.
Yeah.
20 years, because you were one of the very first people that I met when I moved to Louisville, which is like such a blast from the past. It was La Leche League was where we initially connected.
Yeah. And I mean, it is wild how that just happens and all of a sudden it's 20 years later.
And then our paths cross again, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, so Lynn is a friend, a longtime friend, and she is a wellness practitioner, which just one more reason that we've connected and reconnected multiple times over the years. And then she's the owner of Oxybaric. Is that all? That's just the name, right? It's just
That's just
Oxybaric.
the name,
Yeah.
correct.
Where she has multiple healing modalities, one of them being the hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Correct.
And so, anyway, I know that you, like me, are constantly seeking and seeking and seeking. And one of those things or elements you have been delving into a little bit deeper is uh, the heart. And, knowing that so many people are operating from logic.
It's huge, isn't it? Right? Our whole society is built on the mind, right? It's what
Yeah.
we value. And so many of us are finding dissatisfaction, right, in our lives because of that predominance of focusing on the mind. And that's what I ended up figuring out was that people are seeking, right? They want a different way and they're not sure how to get there. And I created this program, Return to Your Heart, just for people that are like that, that they're like, what's going on in their life is not working, right? They're not quite sure how to calm down their mind, right? And let things be and let things emerge. And this is for them, right? So it really does focus a lot on getting clear on where your mind is running things and how you can return to your heart. And the heart space is such a beautiful place. It's a place that allows everything to be there. It allows flow. It allows creativity, observance, right? To really not judge immediately, right? To really be able to sit back and see what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, like, what does that embody, right? When you are in connection with that heart, because it is a very different, I mean, like, to me, it almost sounds like you're connecting to intuition, but maybe it's slightly different, or you could call it a God-like energy or Christ consciousness, whatever that is, creator, light energy. It,
Absolutely. In the heart space, they've been doing research on heart's intelligence, right? And each of us has our own divine guidance system within us, and that is located in our heart space, right? And so many of us have shut it off for a good reason, right? Because the heart space also is what we love the most in the world. And that also is a place where we have the most pain, right? When we don't get it or it shifts, and suddenly we're left with the emotions and the pain that come from that, right? But the more that we can return to that, that's our divine guidance. That's our soul's purpose here is we receive that through our heart space, right? And our mind does help us. The mind is not completely evil. The mind also helps us discern and helps us determine what is for us. Because if we were ooey gooey in the heart all the time, we'd be loving everyone and then we'd be taken advantage of. And then, all of the things, right, that can sometimes lead to heartbreak also. But there's some discernment, right, that the mind can help us with. Mind is amazing, but it's just we don't want to live there, right? We want to use it as a tool.
right.
Not, and we can't live in the heart all the time either, right? So we need both. We need balance, and balance comes from our deep presence, right? Where one doesn't hijack us. Because actually the heart can hijack people too, right? where
Hmm.
people are just like, oh, I just want that feeling all the time. And then they let everything else go. And then that can create issues also, right? Or discomfort in one's life.
Yeah, I think of the middle path, the middle way,
Yeah.
right? With all the
Right.
things,
Having access to everything, right?
right?
And in the lineage that I work within, right, that we refer to that as presence. So if we can stay in presence, then we can access our mind, we can access our heart, we can access spirit, which is all possibilities, and then we also have access to all of the information that comes in through our body. And that is a lot of information, right? And a lot of telling, right? That gut feeling, the sensations, there's tons in the body also.
So, just in my opinion, I feel like this is almost trained out of us.
I think that there, yes, there's it's trained out of us. And then also there's an avoidance, right? Like so when we get hurt from having, our hearts broken because
Mhm.
something doesn't work out for us, instead of saying that's divine guidance, right? And that wasn't meant for us, but what did we love about that, right? Harvest what it was, right? We oftentimes just shut our hearts down. And the shutting of our hearts down leaves us in a place where we're just trying to protect ourselves
Mm,
as opposed to honing our existence to bring in more of what we did love. And
mhm.
so this course really is about reconnecting with what we love, right? And not protecting ourselves, in a way of preventing us from being in the present moment because we're so busy trying to not have something happen again that we can't be present.
Right. Oh gosh, I just totally had a brain fart for real. Because I know
And
what you're talking about is this heart space. Um, and I know that people will shut down. They will create sort of this armor, um, and around themselves unknowingly, almost, right? It's kind of subconscious. It
absolutely.
also could be very conscious, it's the breakup. I'm never dating again. Screw whatever.
Exactly, because if I don't go there again, then it's never going to happen, right? Which is a
Right.
complete facade.
Yeah, it is. And so I think it's important to try to maintain that openness. But years and years, layers and layers are what I think for me, like even in my work, it's like is the goal is to peel them away, right? Like an onion, so that we can get and access that space again.
Exactly. And one of the things that the reason that I developed this program is I saw that, right? Like that people did want to peel that and open that. But what needs to happen, or at least what I've seen work really well, is to be really intentional about it, right? So with this program, you're being very intentional. You're creating a ritual. You have the help of a supplement that helps open your heart, right? So that you can see how it feels to be more open to being in the heart space. And then you gather once a week with a bunch of other people that are doing the same thing, right? So it's a container that there's all those filaments, all of that beautiful energy in that container to hold you, right, as you're walking into this more vulnerable space, right? Because years and years you have armored up, right? And this allows you to start to open in a safe and subtle way.
So I know we were talking before we started recording.
Mhm.
It almost sounds as if this is feminine in nature,
Mhm.
right? Because you're surrendering to the heart, whereas the mind wants to control. But then in this
Completely.
program that you've created, right, you've also created this nice masculine container to hold space for all of this vulnerability.
Exactly. I love that you brought in the masculine and feminine because it is. I have created this beautiful structure, right, to hold it so people can put down that armor, right?
Right.
And start to as slowly or as quickly as they would like, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they can tiptoe in or they can completely submerge themselves. And everyone's going to be a little bit different. And that's a beautiful part of it also. And I think that what has been interesting, I've taught this 6 times now.
Mm-hmm.
And so with those 6 times, I've watched how different people have interacted with it. Some don't do any of the lessons at all, right? I have lessons every week that they can dance with. They don't do any at all, but they have that feeling every single day and the opening still happens. And then there are people that dive all the way in, do all of the lessons, have intricate rituals, right? And they have a different experience and they have a different opening. So it's wonderful to sort of see how they do it.
So now when you say lessons, are these journal prompts? Are these physical activities like sitting in mindfulness or meditative walks? Um,
A little bit of
is
all
it
of that. So,
okay?
so some of them are totally in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we do use our minds to access different parts, right?
Right, yeah.
And educational. But then there are meditations, there's prompts, there's all of those things. And I have this whole program housed on the Mighty app, which I like to describe it as a private Facebook group, right? So that you can chime in, you can talk to your other participants, you
Mm-hmm.
can reflect on the exercises. All the Zoom links are housed there. I've had some people say, well, I really prefer this format to Facebook because it's a community of seekers, right?
Yeah,
Everybody that's on there wants to do the same thing, right?
yeah.
Have more grace and ease in their life. And who knows who their teacher is going to be within that community, right? It might not
Right,
be me. I'm
right,
holding space for people to have their own awarenesses. I just happen to have the masculine, right? Like you were
right,
talking about
yeah.
being able to create the structure, right? And I do hold the energy component of it also.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one of the parts of being with people for 5 weeks during this. I hold the energy, right? And I hold that energetic container to help people have a deeper awareness of what the heart space feels like, right? Because if I'm helping hold it, then they also have a different level of safety to be able to fall into it. They're not doing that alone, right?
Right,
Most of
yeah.
our trauma comes from not being able
Mm-hmm.
to be seen or witnessed in whatever our felt sense and our emotions are with
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
sensation.
Yeah. My brain fart was this. When you think about, and I deeply believe that our organs or, general spaces in the body are connected to the dis-ease in our body. And so when I think about heart disease
Mm,
and like how many of us who have, loved ones, people we know currently with heart disease,
mm,
how much of that is connected? Now, I strongly believe it's connected to maybe the inability or fear of living from that heart space and in not right going or living out of alignment with what their heart truly wants and what logic and their mind and society and communities and family members have told them and this is the way it's supposed to be, right? These
right.
bullshit rules, as Vishen Lakhiani in the Code of the Extraordinary Mind suggests, right? These bullshit rules we've placed on ourselves.
Oh,
Really,
right. That separate us from our heart, right?
yeah,
All of those
yeah,
separate us and save us, right, from heartbreak or financial ruin or whatever the rule or
yeah,
predisposition of society is, right?
yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And I do believe that we have an epidemic of not grieving. And when I say that, I mean that really, that we haven't harvested what we loved from our heartbreak.
Mm.
So whenever I'm in a grieving process, and this could be that there was something silly that I didn't receive, right? Like that I wanted, right? Is that I really work on harvesting what the heart connection was to whatever it is that has transpired, right? Like it could be a loss of a contract at work,
Hmm.
right? That really broke my heart or made me sad. I really connect with what it was about that contract, right? That lit me up, that made me happy,
Hmm.
right? So instead of trying to protect myself from that not happening again, I focus on what it was that I love so much so that I can bring more of that into my life.
Yeah, that I remember I mean, like in regards to relationships.
Hmm.
I think I've read something very similar. You know, you find yourself in a relationship, you find yourself attracted to someone else while you're in the relationship, right?
Right?
And I think it was I think it's the Hendrix, Getting the Love You Want, and then it was another book I read called Conscious Loving. This was like I was like 21. And it's not necessarily that person, right? But it's what is it about?
Right. What is it about them that lit you up,
Right.
right? There might be things that were totally not in alignment, right? But if you focus on the not alignment, you never harvest the gold from the
Right.
relationship, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Right.
I mean, this is interesting that we're going into the grieving process, but I lost a friend last year.
Hmm.
And the only way that I really was able to get through it was to harvest all of the joy and all of the beauty that she brought to my life over the years.
Hmm.
And we had just reconnected before her passing, and it was wild how how I was able to really bring her into me. It was a different integration. And since then, I've brought all these people that have similar qualities to her into my life. This wild and crazy, wonderful energy to travel and to do all of these things. But I could have stayed stuck in the fact that she's no longer here,
Hmm.
or I could focus on all of the things that she let helped me bring into myself, right? And so
Yeah.
that was how I chose to go into
Hmm.
my grieving process. Do I miss her? Absolutely, right? But she's not here.
Right.
But she is. But she is
But
now.
she is, right? I
But
know because
she is
yeah,
with
that
me, right?
yeah, it reminds me of like when Tammy passed away and what she
Oh,
brought into my life, right? That was in 2017, but it's very, and I feel like she's here. It was wild, Lynn, because it was the day she took her life.
mm,
And I had randomly was in the drawer and found her um, the blip from her celebration of life. I was like, what the fuck? Not, I mean, literally, like, what the fuck? You know,
right?
like, I,
Right,
because
like,
I
oh my
hadn't,
gosh.
yeah, I hadn't forgotten, but that is what reminds me, oh, it's the day that she took her life. But it was so, and then I was randomly talking about this tattoo that I got in remembrance of her. And it was just like she's with me so often. Um, and even more recently, I reconnected with a hairdresser of mine who was doing my hair up like those last 6 months of her life. And this woman gave me a book. She gave me the first book was called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. And this guy in this book, it's a true story. His sister channeled him. He did take his own life. And you know, and she continues to channel him and she talks to him. Okay. So I'm seeing this hairdresser. Then she gives me another book called Witch. And Witch is about, this was just after Tammy had passed, which is about a woman who was channeling her grandmother and channeled all this intuitive knowledge on holistic remedies for women.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, I wonder if Tammy will come to me in my dreams because both these individuals were having Okay, this is just actually kind of weird. And Tammy didn't come to me in my dreams. But listen to this. The the day after this woman gave me the book Witch, I picked up Tammy's best friend who lives right down the street from you randomly in an Uber. And it was like 7 o'clock. I just dropped Noah off at Ballard and I had to take this guy to the airport. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, this is so wild. I have been up since 4 because I had a dream about Tammy." And we were sitting down for coffee and she told me that she made a mistake. And she, because she was really struggling with this at this time, she was asking a lot of people, if I do this, what's going to take place in the afterworld? Like this had been on her mind for a minute.
Oh,
And then the next day, I saw her ex-husband, and he too, I picked him up from Bourbon and Beyond, literally the next freaking day. Now I'm jumping ahead, so he also had a dream, and he shared his dream with me. So I didn't get dreams. Okay, let me tell you something. Last, on August 14th, this gal came to my sound bath, okay, the hairdresser.
mhm.
And then she came to me for a session. And I was telling her that whole story about how she'd given me these books and was kind of walking alongside me on that journey. And I had a dream about Tammy 2 days later. It took 8 years.
And it does though, right? Like
Yeah.
and and I love that you're bringing this up too, because that heart space, right, is where those synchronicities happen.
Yes.
Right? And the more that we are in our heart space, it opens us to all of that divine information that comes
Yeah.
through these crazy little synchronicities, right? Or
Yeah.
magic or
Right.
freak incidents, right? They're not.
I agree.
There are
They're
divine,
not.
there are divine guidance, right?
Yeah.
But we're so up here that we can't even sink into what all of the magic that is here for us in this existence.
Yeah. So then, okay, so you're the program that you've built, it's a 5-week program, and you help people reconnect and return to their heart space.
Correct. And so it's really four weeks of modules, but 5 meetings. So we actually meet for 5 sessions just to go over the software to get started, all of that good stuff. But the first week is really learning to discern between our mind and our heart. The second is bringing our heart to ourselves, right? So that's our internal dialogue. So where can we be with a gentler voice within ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Because some of us have such an inner critic that it can be a bit overwhelming. And the third is bringing the heart to others, right? So that we can really see others not through our lens, but really how they are, which is really, that is such a fun week. And then the fourth one is bringing heart to relationships. So it's a really full gamut of for a month, right? Really,
Yeah,
but
and so okay, so you meet in person and then you
once
also
a week.
once a
Yep,
week. Okay.
on
And
Zoom.
typically how many, how many people, individuals do you bring together is the goal? And is there a cap? Because I feel like, and this is just me, like too many becomes less safe. That's me.
No, 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 absolutely. And I love that you bring that up. So it's 10 people.
Mhm.
And we actually, that's part of that very first week is we set the container. And so we create the code for each group, and each group's going to be different. Of course, I've got baseline container setting rules, but then also everyone in the group gets to put things in that will help them find their safety
Mhm.
because you can't drop into your heart without the safety,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
so, and that's a whole process within the group also, right? It is to what helps you find safety. And
Yeah.
that can be a whole exploration, right? For each participant, right?
Right.
To do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it seems like that even could potentially be a process.
Exactly. And that's also, where I offer individual support to
Mm-hmm.
all of the participants, because this will bring things up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even the discussions may bring charged energy up. And I'm there to hold space for that also, right? And to
Mm-hmm.
help people have processes and find their safety and ask for what they need, because that's all part of living from the heart space, right? Because we can let the mind control, or we can use the mind to set the boundaries so that we can stay in our heart space and let others know what it is we need, right? And they may or may not be able to meet that. And then we can make decisions from there.
Right. And then do you find that you I mean, I'm hoping that there's both men and women there, but I know that it tends to be that women seem to be the first seekers, and then they usually, bring that home, or they're the first one to find the wellness tool, and then they drag everybody in, come on, we're going on this ride and this journey. And then have you had couples come in together to do this work? Or do you find that it really is more valuable even for just one of the two, if they're partnered, to come in and begin? I mean, I definitely think as an individual in a partnership, it's important for us to do our own
Absolutely. I think I
healing,
would,
go on our own healing journey as individuals. But, right, then you're bringing this together.
I think it would be hugely beneficial for couples to do it separately, because then you're able to find your own true north, right, through your heart, and then come together with that. Because that's actually that module, that module 3. I talk a lot about this, right? Because you have an I and a you in a relationship, right? And then it becomes a we.
Right.
But they have to be clearly defined, right?
Yes.
Before you have the relationship, or else it just becomes all mushed up.
Hmm.
And so I would definitely suggest separately.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn people away if they wanted to do it together, but ideally it would be for you, and
Hmm.
then you would take it to your relationship.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of intuitively what I was feeling in my body because you're given, yeah, again, because yes, that kind of blend and mesh. I don't want to say enmesh. That's a bad, but you
But
might
it
be
is,
inside
it
out. Yes.
happens,
Hmm.
right? I mean, unintentionally or intentionally, right? Trauma-based,
Yeah.
there's a million different ways that that happens, right? But
Yeah.
that when you can really be clear about the I and the you, it makes such a difference in the relationship, because then you can really come together in co-creation,
Right.
because the relationship is always a co-creation, and it just can't take over the I and the you. At
Right.
least that's my opinion on a
Yeah. I mean, it
relationship.
becomes a
Everybody can
stronger.
have their own way. So that's the heart space, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can
Yeah.
do their own thing.
Yeah. A stronger we
Yeah.
when you come together as a solid I and you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I know you mentioned, did you say there is something that helps with kind of the heart opening that?
Yes, so this is a plant-based opening. And so the plant that we use, it's an alkaloid actually from the plant canna. And it's a beautiful, gentle returning to the heart. So it is definitely felt. You will feel the effect on your body. And that's part of the reason that when we all take that supplement together the first evening, and so everyone, I've never had anyone not feel it. So, but I also do it as a group so that everyone can really drop into the
Mhm.
sensation,
Hmm.
and then they know what it feels like, right? Because sometimes we can be so much in our mind we don't have felt senses even, right?
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. And so that's part of the program also.
And so is that each in-person gathering?
5 days a week, people will be taking those, and then they take the weekends off. and
Okay.
then they start again on during the week. And it's a beautiful, one of the things about opening the heart like that is that you're still walking through your day-to-day life. So you get to see what it's like to bring more heart
Hmm.
into all of the different things that you're doing in your life.
Hmm.
And sometimes that can mean maybe you're feeling a little bit more, or maybe everything's okay a little bit more. Everyone's a little bit different. I've had quite a few people say, I'm so much more relaxed. I'm
Hmm.
not on edge thinking that something's going to happen. Everything's just okay.
Yeah.
A clarity of sorts.
And so this is when you say 5 days a week, I know you mentioned taking this supplement the first time together that evening. Would
Yeah.
it be something that's integrated in the mornings?
So each person's a little different, and I
Okay.
encourage, and I help people with that also. There
Hmm.
are some people that this supplement can be stimulating, and then
Hmm.
there are some people that it can be deeply relaxing. So
Hmm.
it really depends on your system, but we do take it together that first night, and then we determine whether it would be best for morning or evening. Like I had one lady that took it at night, and she had really amazing dreams that were very
Hmm.
intense. And so
Hmm.
we ended up deciding that she was going to have a morning ritual
Hmm.
so that she would have it in her system during the day. And then there are other people that were like, I have never had an evening so relaxing in my life. I'm taking it every single night.
Right. Now, is this something that would continue use after the 5 weeks if desired?
Absolutely. And what I encourage people is if it's something that resonated and that they really enjoyed, to have it available for an as needed,
Hmm.
right? Because you can either continue on the microdosing or you can use it as needed. And I have had many people when they're heading to family functions
Hmm.
that they will have one of the supplements just so that they can be more at peace with family being family, right? The family's going to have their opinions. The family's going to have all of the things. It's our reaction to it
Hmm.
that brings us discomfort. So if we can calm that and just let them be them,
Right, yeah.
how much more enjoyable is that? So yes, yes, I highly encourage that if people want that.
And
And I
so
do have those available.
so Kana, it's spelled Kana because this is
Kanna. Yes.
NNA. Okay, because I just heard about it yesterday. And um you wouldn't would you equate, I mean it's being a plant medicine, would it be similar to cacao?
Yes, it
Okay.
is similar to cacao.
It's
It's
not
more
something that's going to inhibit your ability to drive. You can go
not
out.
at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all. But you will feel a beautiful opening, just like
Hmm.
cacao, but it doesn't take quite as long with
Okay.
the supplement. So you can, and that's part of the reason that beginning night I'm with everyone,
Hmm.
right? So, and we're in a quiet space. We do a guided meditation to just really be able to help people come out of their minds
Hmm.
and into their hearts and bodies.
That sounds lovely.
It is so lovely. And then once you have that pattern, right? Or that template of what it feels like,
Hmm.
then you can do that every day if you choose, right? I always tell people, I'm like, don't take it with your smoothie in the morning as you're heading out the door,
Yeah.
right? Take 3 minutes to light some incense, to take your supplement and settle in, or whatever the ritual is, right? And I can help people create rituals also because some people aren't um, uh, used to doing that for themselves yet.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to any plant medicine, I believe that there should be, for me, an intention, something behind it. Like, what's the goal? Allow me to tap into that heart space or connect with God. Use me as your vessel, and whatever.
Bring me the wisdom I need, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That became
Um,
really evident to me. I did an immersive with the plant rose
mhm.
and rose tea, rose food, rose. I mean, it was rose everything. It was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. And it really brought my awareness to every plant has vibrations for us.
Right. Yeah.
If we just focus on a particular plant, it's here on this planet for us, right? And it's affected by how it's grown. And I mean, we know all of these things, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes we don't think about it.
Yeah.
So,
And I think even by I know that I think vibrational or frequency medicine is the wave of the future.
oh,
And it's still it's such a new concept and idea, I think, for many.
mm-hmm. It completely is, right? And I think that the more that we're able to slow down and be with our bodies and let everything be allowed, right? We can
Mhm.
start to tune into those things. And it's interesting, when people start to drop into their hearts, they do have more access to their bodies many times, depending on their makeup, right? Yes, and I'm super excited also. Beginning of 2026, I will be launching Return to Your Body also.
Mm.
So, which is going to be an amazing, really somatic, you know, diving in, right, to where our blocks are within our bodies also. But the heart is the gateway for me because the heart is where we allow everything to be without judgment.
Right, yeah. Yeah, in other previous conversations, that return to the body, so many people are disconnected from their body. And just as a stretch therapist, even asking them, how does that, they don't even know about how their body feels when I'm maybe doing something.
Oh,
And I mean, like when I say trained out of this, to me, okay, as soon as somebody is in a classroom and is being told they have to wait to go to the bathroom, we are literally telling someone to shut down their connection to their body.
right, right to what they need and want. And I
Yeah.
love and it's a requirement for the body class that people take the heart class
Mm.
because I don't want to take someone into their body
Mhm.
before they're able to not judge not being in their body, right? Because if they're judging it, then there's more shame and guilt and pain of going into the body.
Yeah.
Right? So really the connection to the heart for me and the way that I guide people
Yeah.
is imperative before we go to the body because so many of us have had body trauma in
Oh, yeah.
whatever form,
Yeah.
right? Like we live in a society that, shape matters.
Oh,
And again, the elementary school, right? The bullying, the way that we're, put into groups and forced. There's so much there. We could do like 10 more podcasts.
yeah. And have you heard of, I just have been recently listening to, I think his name is David Guyam.
I'm not.
He's a rabbi and he teaches the Kabbalah and the wisdom of
Oh,
the Kabbalah.
mm,
But, it sounds so similar. Some of what you're sharing sounds very similar, just different words. And for me, why I connect with him uh is that he's like, it doesn't matter what religion you're following, right? Who your teacher is, whether it's Jesus or Muhammad or I forget the other one he mentions. He mentions three, Buddha, I don't know. But that you have to get in really essentially in place with what he calls the light. And the I haven't listened to very many episodes, but one of them was about judgment. And I just, it's so easy to go into that space of judgment. And as soon as you're there, you're not in the heart. I mean, he doesn't say that, but he's like, you're in the dark. You're not in the light.
exactly.
And so when you're judging, whether it's yourself or whether it's others, and he has this really great story that he uses in this one particular episode, which really resonated for me. Um, it was great. I'll just leave it at that. But it was about, his son, his 8-year-old making a generalized statement about something being unfair. And because that's a judgment, right? And I don't know. I wouldn't be even able to articulate exactly what he said in the message I got, but I was like, oh my gosh, and but when you can go into this heart space and trust that God has your back or that your heart is leading you, even if it isn't the outcome that you hope, somewhere for me, like it's all part of our soul's journey, and whatever that is, it's exactly what my soul needs, my heart needs for its growth.
Absolutely. I can remember one of my teachers telling a story, and yeah, I remember it. I mean, it's just in the forefront all the time. He was on Zoom and he's like, ha ha ha. He's like, a tree branch just crushed my car. And I was like, I was just thinking about that. And I was like, and he's just like, that's so, I wonder what's going to happen now. And it was so interesting to me, right? Like there were two different pathways that could happen in that moment. Oh, I'm going on an adventure, right? It's not what I expected. It's not what I wanted, but I'm going on an adventure. Or woe is me that I couldn't get in my car and drive away right, like the marching orders, right, that the
Right.
mind had us,
Yeah.
but instead it was open to who knows what, right? Like to
Yeah.
all the possibilities. Like who is he going to meet? Who is he going to
Exactly.
like and that is in my mind all the time, right? Like what adventure am I going to be on now?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean that's a great question to be asking what, because oftentimes when you talk to individuals and they share their story, it was like if it wasn't for that, this wouldn't have happened, right? I mean, when Noah decided to move from uh, South Carolina to New Mexico, I was like, oh my God, that's so far. At least in Myrtle Beach, I could drive there in a day, right? So I call this psychic up. I'm like, Crystal, tell him, oh, this is going to be great. He's going to meet a girl out there. He's going to move back to Louisville. And I was like, okay. Well, he did those things. I was like, I'm calling Crystal forever. He did. But had he not decided to make this what I thought was a very impulsive decision, right? He wouldn't have met his wife. And she also happened to randomly transfer junior year. And when they look back, like they did have the opportunity to have possibly met because she was in the same sports conference that he was when he was at Myrtle Beach. They were literally for a moment there at the same time, while she was playing a softball game. Do you know what I mean? But they didn't
But
meet until he decided to make this crazy impulsive decision to drive across the country and move.
and he was following his heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then all of the synchronicities fell into place, right?
Yeah.
And some of those are the most terrifying, right? Because it's literally
Yeah.
letting go of one thing and jumping. And so there's like surrender and flow and all of these unbelievable things that we're conditioned out of,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Back to our initial thing, right? Like we're taught not to do that, right? When it's what we should be doing, right?
Yeah. Right. And so again, that's part of that, just like deconditioning ourselves.
Completely. And that again, just to circle back to the return to your heart, that's why I encourage people to start with the group
Yeah.
because then you're entraining yourself to being in that space over a period of time because we don't just break our patterns, right? Sometimes we do, but oftentimes it takes training, right? It's a muscle. It's
It's
something
a
that we have to
muscle.
learn how to
And
do.
also knowing that you have a community of people who have the same vision of, yeah, freeing themselves and returning to their heart, I think does
Oh,
help.
it's support, absolutely, right? And that energetic container, it does hold things.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll be starting this group October 1st. And so
Well, that's coming
I'll
up
provide,
soon.
yes, it's coming up soon. So I will provide you with a link, Elizabeth, and
Oh,
then
good.
I would love, if it's okay, to read a passage from one of my favorite authors to sort of end our time together.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Um, okay. This quote is from Sarah Blondin, who is also a heart-centered meditator, but this one is just really beautiful. Take note, the greatest power lies in what you choose to call the tight, uncomfortable places. Choose instead to call these places where love is opening to a whole new level of beauty. Do not close. You are choosing growth over stagnation, love over pain. You are making an effort to align with what you most desire, no matter the outcome, whether you receive what you are looking for or not. Feel the warmth and sincerity of your actions. You know you are trying to become more whole in heart and being. Let that in each moment be good enough. Rest with your heart outside its cage, nerves open to the air and light and healing presence of life. Do not shut yourself or your heart back in, for this is the surest way to harden the soul, which was given to you to be soft. Mm,
I love that.
I know, I know. It's a perfect reminder for us all to start returning to our hearts, right? It's where
Mhm.
we can live in peace and find new ways of being in the world that aren't rigid.
Yeah. And I think it just allows for you one thing really you just mentioned, like that grieving. I think in today's world, so many of us are just taught not to feel. I mean, people are inundated with the antidepressants, like, I mean, but that's just a part of the human experience. And guess where that takes place, right?
In the heart.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how can we hold space for each other?
Yeah. And to know that, exactly. So that maybe some of these, medications aren't needed. And
We can all be messy together.
yeah, because we all are.
Right?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah.
Like the messiness.
Yeah, I mean
Oh,
that Broken Open, did you read that one? I think it's he says we're all just
oh, I
bozos
did.
on the bus,
I love it.
and everybody's, well, I'm fine. No, actually you're a bozo on the bus too. I know. I know we don't have to hold that secret anymore.
Let's stop faking it and get real, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. Be sure
Oh, this
to
was so much fun.
get me that link so that I
I
can
will.
and get that out into the show notes, okay? And then share
Oh,
that.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been so much fun.
Yeah,
Have a
yeah.
great day, Elizabeth.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.